Welcome back, everyone, to CCL Day 1 of our championship playoffs. I'm joined by Brickbat today, and we've got a matchup with our Titan of the season, SLU Strikers, undefeated going against Auburn. Brickbat, what are you looking at for this matchup?
I am very excited to see a very hungry, a very undefeated SLU here try to make their way farther into the bracket stage here. And I think Auburn, coming into this, obviously going to be the underdogs here. But this is a team that, from what I've heard, has been looking good. You know, they've had good games against a lot of other top teams, things like UCLA. They had a very good performance on. So coming into this game here, I'd like to see that upset potential kind of come into play here. If there is going to be a team to be a thorn into SLU's side, it's going to be them.
I can see that, especially with some of these map picks and bans. So a lot of times I see a bit of a homogenized approach to the maps. Someone that comes from the weekly or national side, it feels like a lot of teams have their bread and butter, especially a love of the big three, Atlas Lab, Night Market, and Oni, but we actually only see one of them in Atlas Lab, and instead it's flanked by two of maybe, I would say, the least popular maps in the game. So I'm really looking forward to this. We have Amy's app game 1, then that Atlas Lab in the middle of the sandwich, and then finally, if we do see a game 3, we're going to see Demon Deus, which is an incredibly unpopular map due to the fact that damage can generally run free on Demon Deus. And you mentioned an upset, there's no better map to do it on than Amy's app. I think that's a very swingy map, and it only takes one good Rasmus hook, one good dash punch, one good Jakar combo, and all of a sudden it's a power play. There's no other map that can really facilitate those kind of plays as a team. So I'm curious what you think about these map selections too, because coming from our more NASL oriented broadcast, it's something I don't think I've never watched a game with these 3 map picks, I think maybe ever, like in the same set.
Yeah, and not to mention the time that they're in the same rotation is pretty limited, but having both teams even just opt into it over something more like safer, to be completely right.
Yeah.
Like Night Market, if you want to run like a Julie comp, you just run like Night Market instead. But honestly, yeah, props to these teams for kind of coming into here with some exciting map pick bans. I think you mentioned it earlier, but yeah, like it's one good Tricard combo, one good Rasmus hook, and all of a sudden you could find yourself in a 1v3 situation. And I think that might be the game plan here for Auburn coming into it, even though it was SLU's map pick, and maybe they're trying to kind of pull the same thing to get a quick game 1 win in. Auburn's here has the potential here to kind of, throw that same strategy back into SLU's face. So again, this is going to be a really, really interesting. I feel like the first, few points is really going to dictate the story of game 1 here, as we see who gets more critical KOs, who puts the enemy goalie into disadvantaged situations, into man down situations, and how both teams handle their power plays.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision as well, because if I'm on the side of Auburn, I don't necessarily dislike Amy's app. Both of their forward players, I know we like to just distinguish them as brawler and midfield, but both of them are forward players in the sense that I know both like Viper on Crit and Ram Splooge play brawler characters, and Amy's app and Demon Deus are, I would say, arguably the only maps in the game, unless you count niche Night Market situations, that you can play double brawler on. Like, it's very real. We could see something like an Asher Julie coming out of Auburn forward, maybe even Drakkar. Another thing that's being piloted, I mentioned this on the pre-show, but we've been seeing the rise of Drakkar forward, something that Coin has been playing a lot. And I would expect his Rasmus to get banned, his signature striker. So it's very entirely possible that Drakkar is such a power pick for SLU between Trademark, his number 1 most played, and Coin. We could see something like a very interesting comp that SLU's been running is Drakkar now. Something we may not see necessarily on Amy's app, but something to look out for in game 1, 2, or 3. So we have a lot of interesting potential options here. So now, real quick, that we've talked about this, I want to give a little check-in with the bracket since we've been gone a while on the stream. There's been a couple interesting games that have happened, most notably esports at OSU 2-1 against Wake Forest. That was something that the desk did not predict. Otherwise, going through the rest of the bracket, you can see UH Premier handily took Rutgers Esports Red, as well as Rutgers Esports Black, losing to one of the tournament favorites, UCLA. We have RIT Orange, championed by Beepo in the gold box. NJIT with Miri Meg leading the charge as brawler. UCLA with Gramella himself, Corey, as he's also known sometimes. And then the big upset on stream, Longhorn Gaming handily took down the UTD Meteorites. Some heroic forward performances from Mr. Flambeau on his signature pick, as well as Nikki Minilin. So looking forward to the rest of the bracket, we've got SLU probably going up against RIT if they're able to win versus Auburn. Any of these matchups stick out to you, Brickbat, or just, kind of what you expect for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned the one earlier, Wake Forest, been a longtime competitor getting taken out by esports as OSU. I know that, there's, going into that matchup, it was definitely possible that they'd lose out, but at the end of the day, you kind of sometimes expect some, old collegiate titans to kind of shake it off and move forward, but that's not something that they were able to do here. So definitely a well-earned win to esports at OSU. And I think going to later brackets as well, I'm very excited to see if we will see a UCLA win against Lakeland. I know that Threezy Breezy and Gramella have been, playing the game quite a bit. They've been grinding things out again, and potentially as well. I believe Water Fury's still on that team, and back at the Phoenix land, Water Fury made an incredibly good showing with the forwards of Bozo Bunch. So going into that game there, I'm excited to see what their run looks like in the bracket. So I would say that would be my team to look out on. Of course, I'll be looking at my own home team, UT Dallas, as well, and see how they'll be doing. But that'll be probably what I'm looking at.
Hey, that's valid. And we've took a look at the other side of the bracket. Let's focus back in on this SLU versus Auburn match underway. This side of the bracket is one where SLU's expected to dominate. I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen when the match actually starts on this Amy's app, but we'll be loading in game very shortly soon. The #1 favorites, only undefeated season to ever happen in CCL history, SLU, is going to be going up against Auburn. SLU's roster, of course, you know them, Zoro, Trademark, and then Coin having a bit of an MVP season. I know Zoro has all eyes on him, especially after his ego check versus Soren, dethroning him, some say, as the King of Collegiate. And on the other side, we have Auburn matching up against them. We have Ramslooge, Viper on Crit, and Tiger Slasher. And our starting trainings, these are some killer trainings to get on Amy's app. Built different for those brawler fans, and then prime time as well, potentially being picked up for goalie and midfield. Brickbat, let's talk through this pick ban. We just saw a lot of those brawlers get taken off the table.
Yeah, I think as well, the one to look at as well was Auburn taking away the Rasmus. A lot of times when you do go on this map, if you feel not confident in that mirror, you're just going to say, okay, let's not deal with it. I'm not going to take that ego and, lose the game off of that. On the other hand, we did see a Juliet ban, I believe, targeting out the brawler composition that we have here from Auburn University. So it looks like SLU here maybe electing to go something a little bit more traditional here. With the Kai Estelle, using that prime time to maybe get some, standard core control plays to get through Tiger Slasher here.
I'm gonna say it, Brickbat, the nostalgia I have is so real. Knowers know this was the beta comp back in the day. Estelle, Kai, Drek. It's like I'm already back home, and we're gonna see both Drakkar forwards being locked in as discussed. It's funny to mention it, but he really has seen a resurgence on this map. So we'll see if the goalies are able to hold the esoteric art of the strike shotgun as this first point gets underway. Brickbat, we're going to see how it pans out.
Yeah, and we are going to see Coin throughout the Molten Bolt getting a bit of damage here on a Tiger Slasher, who is able to keep the core in play right now, but Trademark, once again, is actually going to get taken away with a strike shot, and the piercing shot not going to find the first goal. Zoro using the Giga Blast to keep the core upfield. This Coin right now fighting for his life, but in a reversal of fortune, he's going to take out the Zentaro here with the lock and load. Now Viper and Crit 5 seconds in that goal box. Tiger Slasher though has that flip coming into the defensive play here. Elects to use it early as Viper on Crit comes back in, gonna use the cooldowns to move forward, but at the cost of quite a bit of HP here, which means that the Celestial Intervention is gonna come down. Now Core's gonna actually be taken away by Trademark there with a piercing shot, and just like that, the first point goes over to the SLU Strikers.
Yeah, that was a good heads-up play by Trademark. I liked using the primary to dribble the ball off to himself. An interesting choice by Trademark, I want to point this out because it's not as common. He's selected for slick kicks on this map. Usually both teams go pummelers or a damage training like Wand. So we're going to see Trademark, if it's an even game state, he'll actually have more move speed than anyone else in the lobby, which is going to pay dividends with this more faster-paced SLU comp with the Kai, Estelle in the back. And we'll see them be able to convert a lot more efficiently just because they're going to always have core control and the ball pressure will just be on Tiger Slasher's side.
Yeah, and Looks like SLU, they're just looking really good right now. Good strike war win, I believe, by Trademark is going to put it into the top side of the net there. And yeah, Zoro as well throughout kind of the regular season. I think this Kai is kind of his patented pick. He loves running up, playing very aggressive, and I think that's the type of play style that will actually probably do really well against Tiger Slasher, who is, I believe, kind of the superstar player on Auburn University. Loves to play the Atlas, loves to play the Dubu, and the way you get through those is through a lot of those passing plays, just making it so that the Atlas cannot catch up with the core. And if SLU is able to keep that up, it might be a quick game one here.
It's definitely the case too, because you watch Zoro always looking to punish with his secondary. Even when his goalie goes down just there, you see him pushing up, because as long as the ball's on their side of the pitch, the side of Auburn has 3 short-range characters. They're never going to be able to magically put the ball or cut the pass from you, because it's such a telegraphed movement from the Drakkar and Zentaro with the Atlas in the back as well. So we'll see if Zoro's able to hold this power play for that.
Yeah, and it does look like he's able to do so. Coin on the tail end as well, able to grab another KO and now get that Pummeler's proc here. Power play here for SLU. The flip's going to be used by Tiger Slasher. Wisely chooses to actually save it, but unfortunately it's not going to mean anything as the barrier goes down. It does buy enough time for Ramsploosh to get back up, though, as now Zoro trying to march the court downfield. It does get past Viper on crit, and a good strike war win from Coin puts it into the bottom side of the map. Tiger Slasher not quick enough to catch it, and that's the first set of the game going over to SLU.
I've been saying it all series, this Coin guy has been putting on an MVP run. I've been really impressed with how he plays every game. Every single point he's come in, made a key KO through the middle, and then been an instrumental part of the offense. Something I'd like to point out as well is he's getting heavy impact. That's going to offset the damage deficit he's getting from prime time. Going to make sure his primary is more powerful, Drakkar's most important tool. As well as the fact that it's even more CDR with that prime time. He'll get value out of it, and it looks like SLU, after stealing that Unstoppable, is playing for the damage, which I think is the correct choice. I like the Deadeye heavy impact pickup from the side of the SLU's forward pair.
Yeah, and even though without that that Pummeler's on the Estelle, that Deadeye is going to allow a lot of the snipes that we usually see when Estelle midfield's here, but not even going to look at that right now. It's actually going to be Coin here going on a rampage right now as the power play is coming in for the SLU strikers, but Tiger Slasher now able to hold on just for a little bit, but it is going to go down eventually. Does buy enough time for Viper on a crit to make it back onto the field now and trying to find another KO here onto Coin, but it's not going to find it. The piercing shot, barely not enough hits done to confirm that goal, is now Ramsploosh working the core upfield. It's going to go back in the way of Trademark from a good pass from Zoro, and now the piercing shot. Again, not able to find it, and that's going to be a bit of a punishment now for SLU strikers as they lose their goal barrier. Ramsploosh now with a scoring opportunity, has the core yet again. Zoro has to teleport back using his cooldowns right now, but it does eventually get cleared away. Now Tiger Slasher, a few redirects away from the flip. Will it even matter? Viper on crit, not able to win that core strike against Zora. Now Trademark piercing shot forces that core flip. Now nothing on the side of Tiger Slasher here. If the core comes to him again, Ramsploosh though is gonna actually pay for that strike war win with his life, but Viper on crit is there to intercept the pass, and now SLU once again in a scoring situation, and there it is. Trademark confirming it with a Crystal Thorns. It's gonna take the first point of this set for the SLU strikers yet again.
We're seeing Amy's app in a way that is important to note. For any viewers at home here, this is one of those maps where there's a lot of debate in Omega Strikers what the most powerful role is. And at the end of the day, there is a saying where if the ball doesn't go in the net, you can't lose. And a lot of times goalies have a lot of agency. But Amy's app is a bit of a unique pick because your goalie is at the mercy of your forwards and then Amy's app. So it's really important to note that while the side of Auburn keeps dying, all those points are happening. And as we're talking about that point, SLU falls, and it looks like, I mean, they just immediately crumbled on defense as soon as a player dropped. It really just shows the dichotomy of one team having 3 versus 2 on such a small, close-range map almost immediately puts all the pressure on the opposing side and makes it so their goalie has very little options on what they can do.
Yeah, and we saw there as well, just a single good Molten Bullet from Ramsploosh essentially just ended the point really quickly, and so if you are Auburn, that is something you're looking to replicate yet again, as right now we see kind of deja vu. Coin's going to be taken out, and an immediate barrier loss from Zoro, a mix-up from Viper on crit. He's not going to get the goal. A good barrage comes out, but play is not done yet. 1 second left on Coin. Viper on crit has scoring potential here. Can he get the core one more time? Pass goes up from Ramstrud, but unfortunately it's going to be intercepted by Coin. Now Coin marching into the core upfield with some nice strike war wins. Zoro here with the flip defensively. Doesn't need to use it though, as the Pummeler's Drakkar is going to claim another victim here. Now Ramsplooge on the defensive, trying to get some damage down on the Coin. The Molten Bolt's going to miss, unfortunately, but Tiger Slasher here has that flip to work with. Coin just sitting there menacingly, stealing the orb, trying to maybe force some damage here, but Zoro unfortunately is going to lose that interaction, which means that there is going to be a bit of time here for Auburn to recuperate. But no, just as I say it, Coin finds the Pummeler's Drakkar angle, takes him out here, and now Ramsplooge is going to be on the defensive. A good strike war win using the Demolitionist size is going to keep the core in play, and importantly, the goalie barrier is still alive. Now Coin again is going to be staggered, and the pass goes down. Wow. Really good reactions here from Zoro on the flip, but now he's going to have to react even more now. Another 2v3 situation for Auburn University. The cooldowns go out. It's not going to get past Zoro. Strike War win comes out to keep the ball in play. But again, one more scoring opportunity. Trademark is there to intercept the bottom shot. Now Coin is back and once again takes another KO here for the side of the SLU Strikers. Ramsplooge sitting in the Celestial Intervention, trying to stay alive here. Right now, Trademark has the opportunity to take the shot, and that he does, getting the second point for the SLU Strikers and answering that first point from Auburn.
That was a bloodbath of a sequence. It felt like one team always had a man down one way or another. We're seeing the powerful Drakkar on this map specifically. It was mentioned before, but that Pummeler's combo with ult primary is just so difficult when it catches you off guard. And then Trademark on the other side, he's not getting the KOs, but he's doing an excellent job of converting with his Estelle pick. He has a lot of pressure on Tiger Slasher, and he always has a primer up to make sure that he's either stunning the goalie or going for a shot attempt as well.
Yeah, and that's excellent play. And oh, there we go,
Oh,
Zoro. Absolutely, that's a little type of play that we've come to know and love from Zoro. Just clear up all of a sudden. Wait, there's a third man there, and just like that, that's the third point for the SLU Strikers as we get into this next draft.
He's gonna have to pick up that knife's edge. Usually people think that's the end of the game, but when the goalie's taking it, it's not the end of the world. Now someone as aggressive as Zoro actually will get some value out of it, but he's gonna have to pick it up so Ramsplooge doesn't get it himself. Interestingly, not too many trainings that give size, and SLU doesn't elect for more damage. Stagger Swagger Quick Strikes instead of the Prize Fighter Specialized. And then Zen desperately wants that dash training, so he picks it up. A little bit of a funky draft, but I'm definitely smiling wide if I'm SLU. Quick Strike's an extremely powerful awakening, and then giving the extra survivability to your Drakkar, who'd honestly been dying from stagger a lot. Now this really puts on that damage. Nice pickup for them as well. Really is going to help them achieve their win con.
Yeah. One thing as well here is that we've just got a massive Drakkar here on stage. Wow! The Iron Spear makes a bit of an appearance here to take out Coin, and just like that, Ramsplooge and Viper on Crit is able to finish the job after a crazy KO. Auburn now taking the lead here in the third set.
That one got me. It's so goofy when I see an Alice get a KO. It's always so funny. And really, he's so tiny too. Like, I don't expect him to actually have like an offensive impact, but he was the reason for that point happening.
Yeah, absolutely. The Siege Machine actually coming into a bit of play here. And one thing I want to look at too is Ramsplooge is massive right now.
Yeah.
It is so hard to get past Strike Shotgun because it is just the size of the entire lane. But that being said, it never went to Ramsplooge at that point, and that means Coin and Trademark are able to get a nice goal here for SLU.
It's just the classic. I'm a fan of Estelle in this patch. I think she's one of the best midfielders in the game, simply because she's almost unrivaled in the midfield position on being able to set up scores or score on her own. The hit stun and ability dump that she's able to do on a goalie is always going to be useful, no matter how low damage she does. And Coin is just so consistent at breaking the barriers for him that when these two get in position, Zoro on the wings with them as well, it just feels so hard for the side of Auburn to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zoro, unfortunately, is going to whip his core flip there, which means that Ramsplooge has an opportunity. But unfortunately, the Molten Bolt from Coin is going to snipe away any chances of an Auburn point there. And now SLU 1 point away from closing out game one without a set loss.
My eyes are on Viper on Crit here to make a big play. He's got the mobility with the dash training, and Ramsplooge has the size to back him up. If anything's going to happen from Auburn, it's going to have to come from these two. Zoro is a very difficult opponent to score on, but they've got a good opportunity here. I want to see if they can capitalize by breaking the barrier and putting it in for a 2-2.
Yeah, and the flip here is going to mean that Trademark's going to be out of this play now. 10 seconds to get the score in from Auburn. Not going to find it just yet, but a strike war not going to win from Viper on crit. Now Ramsplooch with a lock and load, not going to find anything either. And now the Molten Bolt signals the end of that play. Once again, Auburn University find themselves on the defensive. Unless Tiger Slasher has something to say about it. No, unfortunately, not going to get the core to the enemy side of the field just quite yet. The Celestial Intervention is going to go out to make this next play a little bit safer, though, as Ramsplooch trying to find a KO on the center, not going to find it. Viper on crit, looking to defend Tiger Slasher a bit with a bit of damage, and now Coin and Trademark find themselves in a familiar situation. The flip is blown from Tiger Slasher. They need to score now. It's only a matter of time before Coin finds that damage that he needs, and right now Ramsplooch, good striker win, is going to be saved away by Zora. Coin now has a 1v1 scoring opportunity. The lock and load does not find it. Trademark is here on the assist, but again, a strike war win from Tiger Slasher keeps the core in play. Viper on crit now, using his cooldowns to march the core upfield. Ramsplooch now there to support him, trying to find anything. The Xeno Cloak out to put himself in a better position, and now Viper on crit almost gets it with a dash, but now Trademark once again has the scoring opportunity on the Sistel. The flip is there for Ramsplooch if he so needs it. He never gets the opportunity. A good angle from Coin is going to seal out the game, and game one goes to the SLU Strikers.
It was more back and forth than I expected. I know it says 3-0 on the stat sheet, but it really doesn't tell the whole story. Especially Ramsplooch, I felt like he was doing an excellent job on the Drakkar mirror. He was able to fight back, and despite the Atlas being locked in, I was pretty impressed actually with how much damage they outputted in reverse. Like if you look at the stats, like Tiger Slasher did as much as Zoro, even though Zoro was slinging out the Giga Blast. But at the end of the day, you know, I really talked about it, and I want to shout it out again. Coin has been my pick for MVP this season. Could even argue as most improved. He was already doing well last season, but he is just such an important fulcrum of this SLU offense. It just seemed like he was shredding barriers. He was definitely winning in the KO department. Had a lot of sneaky ult shotgun combos. As a Drakkar player myself, I always appreciate the esoteric ult in full display. And Trademark had he was a bit of a quiet, like there was no flashy play, but honestly, it's my opinion that if you're playing midfield the right way, you're always making your teammates look better, and he really converted a lot. It was very hard for Tiger Slasher to hold him, especially when Trademark could use all of his abilities once Coin freed up that barrier, and it was just a well-oiled machine. I think Auburn showed some signs of life, but on a bigger map like at Lab, I'm a little nervous that even though it is their pick, that the smooth, fast-paced, almost like Indiana Pacers-esque offense from SLU is going to be able to overtake them. I'm curious what sort of adjustments that they can make going into this game, Brickbat, because it felt like a lot of times the tempo and pace was dictated by SLU. Is there a way from Auburn to really come back against that?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. If Ramsplooch and Viper on crit are able to kind of, I feel like if they tighten up some of the offensive plays, there were a lot of points where Zoro made like one small blunder and like a good Molten Bolt from Ramsplooch is able to take the goal barrier and set things up. I feel like if they were 10% more consistent with those setups and able to really put that pressure onto Zoro, we might be able to see a situation where Zoro's uncomfortable to walk up, uncomfortable playing as aggressive as he did in that last game, and that might give Tiger Slasher the room to breathe, to hold forever against Coin and Trademark. I think that's kind of what I'd like to see from Auburn going into this next game. A bit more pressure on Zoro, making him feel a bit less comfortable on whatever he picks, and maybe from there they could play, rely on their fundamentals to get them through this Atlas Lab game.
Yes, I feel like I am in a similar agreement. I also think we're going to see a very similar comp coming out of Auburn. Actually, well, I want to say SLU banned Juliet, so maybe they might target a Viper on crit character. I don't see them taking away the Drakkar. If anything, I feel like that's Coin's now go-to character after Erasmus. I've seen them play it on Gates. I've seen them play it on App. I've seen them play it on Night Market. It's really a character, which is funny because Trademark was like the guy for Drakkar, like in CCL, and it was perma-banned from him last season, and they struggled to find some consistency once he was off that comfort pick, but it really looked like his Estelle was a practiced machine, which bodes very well because it's such an easy pick to plug and play. On this match especially, as a midfielder for Sad Boys, that was my go-to midfielder pick during NASL playoffs. I just think it's so effective on pretty much every single map in the game. So it's a good secondary option for him, and especially on Atlas Lab, the character really takes advantage of those long range corridors, and we're gonna see a bit of an interesting start, one that I'll say it, I dislike. There's a spark of leadership, a game warping training to take alongside Happy Star, so I'm gonna expect to see at least 5 spark of leaderships, but praise be, I've just been told that it is a remake. I will not have to sit through a boring ass spark of leadership start. Forgive my language, I get 1 for them putting it in the game. Thank God that's over with, Brickbad.
Yeah, I'm glad that bit of a jump scare that the sparks are no longer kind of in the live version of the game. So. Woof. But yeah, glad that we're not going to see that one go through. I think I'm interested to see though. The Happy start though in a vacuum though is a little bit scary to see, but I don't know if there's like a big Luna player on the side of SLU. I don't know if that was something that that any Tridenmark or Coin played, but that's obviously a huge pick, especially on Atlas's lab here. I think you're a huge proponent of the Luna on Atlab, if I'm not mistaken as well.
I do love Luna. I think it's the most exciting character in the game to watch. I really can't speak enough about how interesting Luna is. Something though I have no idea what. Oh, I see. They're remaking it because they don't host. Well,
yeah.
Stream, you'll have to give us a little bit to talk about. I would love to see the Luna, but I don't expect it to actually happen. We'll talk a little bit more about that. You can blame Dylan's surplus. He forgot to give host to a player, so direct all flame to that. But I'm super down with that Spark remake. I think it just makes the game a little bit more one-dimensional and boring in the training selection phase. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about AtLab, as it's been called. Bond's Lab, had to say it. I did not give myself that moniker, but it is called that, so I feel like I'm entitled to talk about this. I really think SLU is advantaged on this map. I don't see them play it too much, but I do remember in last CCL there was a very important regular season matchup between UCLA and SLU, and I remember SLU actually beating UCLA on AtLab. One of the teams that I consider the best, as Grimella and 3Z Breezy are a very potent combo on the Atlas Lab, so that speaks a lot to SLU's power, but it is Auburn's map pick, and it is a map that Atlas is very powerful on, which I expect Tiger Slash should run it back on. I would love to see, even though it didn't work out, I do think Zentaro is an excellent pick for Viper on crit. I think your Brawler having mobility on the Atlas Lab to be able to traverse the field faster is just such a versatile tool. And just the fact that you can rack up damage incidentally with the middle black hole, I just love the fact that if you lock in a character with a built-in elusive, it just gives you that extra survivability, which I think will be important. And Brickbat, I'm curious because this is one of those, as we've talked about, big 3 maps, so you've seen plenty of games on this. What's the sort of, for the viewers at home, what sort of features on AtLab can you expect like top teams to be taking advantage of? Like what kind of things set this map apart from other maps? Because it is one of those bigger maps, but it does have a bit of variety with how its barriers and the middle gimmick form.
Yeah, I think I feel like this map has like quote unquote like AtLab fundamentals, like when you use flip, the angles for double barriers, you know, it was something that I feel like at the start of launch as well, people were saying were like not replicable or not consistently replicable, like getting corner clears, you know, the sad boys angle, right? On that, there's also so many things that you could do, like you mentioned, the incidental damage from the black hole, but also you know, mix up dribbling as well with it. Just all of a sudden breaking open the map and turning it from a closed map to an open map, I think can change the dynamic of any sort of matchup very, very quickly. And being able to do that on a dime, I think, allows a lot of skill expression, which I feel like a lot of those are why kind of it has earned its way into the big 3. It has a variety. There's so many different comps that are viable. There's so many different ways that you could play it. I would even go so far as to say it's probably just generally the community favorite. I used to call this as like, this is as default Omega Strikers as you get, as pure, you know, distilled Omega Strikers as it could possibly be, because I feel like all the positive parts of the game always show up on this map. I'm personally a huge fan of it. Yeah.
I agree. I'm biased. I know some people prefer like the night market or You know, it's even funny. We've come full circle, and people do like that Oni village. But I want to echo what you say. You can really see any characters on this map. If you play damage, you can play damage. If you want to focus on more blitzing it down, you can lock in characters that have the speed. And my favorite part about the map too is the dichotomy of play between when the black hole is up versus when it's been broken. I think when the black hole is up, you always have pressure on their goalie. When it's on their side, you can always threaten surprise damage or KOs out of nowhere, and you can make some really cool passes that you can't make on any map. Using that black hole gravity is something I personally love a lot. It's where I've made my bread and butter winning on that map, is being able to pilot the core around that, or you can even use it as a dribble, which is one of the only maps in the game where you can dribble off the middle, but there's no partition to stop another pass. I think that's very cool. Something that gets taken advantage of a lot more by experienced teams that know to move the ball around. And then those barriers, there's some decision making, like you said. That double barrier danger is very real. I know how many goalies hate this map because it's so easy to have the ball slip through. You have to make that decision. Do I play aggressively, risk both? A lot of times you might see them sack a barrier a la Oni Village. I just don't want to risk giving both. And then melee goalies on this map feel good. Ranged goalies on this map feel good. It truly is the most versatile map in the game for character selection. So I'm curious to see how that'll pan out. It's another map that we've seen Drakkar Ford pioneered on, originally by the soon-to-be Strikers. Rest in peace. And so we may see UCLA play that as well. So I'm fully expecting Drakkar from at least one of these teams. It seems like a comfort pick for both of them. I'm going to expect the Kai again from Zoro. I think this Kai is one of his best maps. I love playing it on this. I expect the Atlas run back as well. It'll really come down to the midfield picks. I fully expect the Estelle. If anything, I would keep the same draft if I was SLU. And on the side of Auburn, I would probably keep something similar as well. Especially now that we know this trainings are Timeless Creator and Missile Prop. That just seems to perfectly fit both teams. I mean, Drakkar, Estelle, and Kai love that both. Missile Prop and Timeless are both Atlas Bis. And then the only awkward part is a little bit if you're one of those traditional brawler players, these trainings are hard to get some serious value out of. So we'll see what happens with this pick ban brickbat.
Yeah, and I'm actually really interested to see the brawler pick, especially. These are quite literally unusable on Juliet. They're quite literally unusable on X. They're not really the greatest thing on Rasmus. So yeah, interesting. I think it is going to be that Drakkar brawler that you're talking about. It just makes so much sense. Interesting pick here though, I think, is that Asher. I believe coming out from the side of Auburn, going to be using either one of those two. My guess is going to be that Timeless Creator for the shield passive, to see if they could potentially just get it through Zoro just with brute force. But going in this, we also see the Now Mirror as well, which I think is something to look at here. Yeah, and I know, especially with the creation size as well. It may just come down to who can take the Monumentalist. As importantly here, actually, the entire side of Auburn could theoretically deny Monumentalist. No one can from the side of SLU, so there's a potential draft advantage here.
And we're seeing if SLU can continue their undefeated streak. I don't even think they've dropped a game all season. They're looking to continue it now. Auburn desperately trying to hold on to their winner's side advantage against arguably the strongest, most dominant team in CCL history. In this Game 2 first set, we'll see if they can overcome the odds here and bring us to a Game 3.
Yeah, and there it is now. Both goalie barriers taken from both sides, and trademark. An unfortunate own goal from the Now Mine is going to secure Viper on Crit's first goal here for the game on the side of Auburn.
Hey, you know, we say in the business, we take those, all right? Now Mine, extremely powerful basic ability, one of the best in the game, but commonly used in such a way to accidentally score on yourself. These things happen, and I'm not too convinced that it's going to leave a huge dent in SLU's chances of winning. So let's get underway with this point too now that Asher's fallen, and Tiger Slasher's going to have to hold it down on the Dooku.
Yeah, absolutely, and does have that one barrier to focus up on. Already one core flip. It's going to be defended away quite easily by Tiger Slasher here, as now Viper on Crit with possession. The pass splitter is going to do exactly what it says on the tin, taking away that one goalie barrier. But whoa! What just happened? The flip gets a double kill on the side of Auburn, and now all of a sudden Coin, brawler in the net, finds himself alone and afraid. Viper on Crit going to win that strike war, and Auburn University have come out swinging here on Atlas's lab.
Rams catches Zoro lacking. I mean, it is a hallmark of Zoro's play that he plays like, I'll say it, a psychopath on the Kai. And that playstyle can have ramifications. You play fast and loose on the edge, you can get punished. Ramsplooge did an excellent job really functioning a lot of the offense in these first 2 points.
Yeah.
Oh. I say that, and then Coin must have heard me and just says, hey, let's remind you who's the MVP caliber forward in this game, and it's not him. Coin with an excellent conversion, really speedrunning that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a point in 13 seconds there from the side of Auburn. Absolutely answering back, showing that they're the #1 seed going into this for a reason. There are no easy games here against the SLU Strikers, though. Viper on crit in a good position now in the center of the map, but unfortunately he might have to blow this flip defensively just to stay alive if Ramsplooge is not able to get him healed up to a safer state. Now the flip does come out, not able to get that first barrier. Ramsplooge, though, able to get the defensive going by Viper on crit a little bit more time. One goalie barrier is going to be sacked, not a huge deal, but unfortunately the second one going down is going to be a bit scarier here for the side of Auburn University. Now Coin and a Trademark going to do a nice little play there with the now primary, getting it right through, and now just like that they've evened up the set.
I love Coin's strike placement. He ended game 1 with an excellent angle, some point as the puff angle, especially on Drakkar. But that strike, he had to take the second barrier, pristine, absolutely pristine. He's really putting on a clinic for us today, Brickbat.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that we've definitely loved to see here is just like that. 2 things. The Molten Bolt almost scoring the goal as well. Ramsplooge here does have a flip to work with if he needs to help Tiger Slasher here on the defense. Viper on crit as well. Asher being a little bit more buffed here. Ooh, and a good defense from Tiger Slasher. Unfortunately, it's not going to make the difference here as SLU, in just about a minute and a half of play, take back the entire set from Auburn University.
The storming of the keep just happened. A quick reverse sweep, bars, dare I say, and they just blasted out to win. And that's the thing with this comp, especially with Missile Prop. The pressure from Kai and Drakkar is just so much to handle. Even though Tiger Slasher's doing a good job trying to hold it down, the Dubu really, I know it's a defensive pick, but he's opted into the Missile Prop, and it's more useful as offensive pressure. If I'm going to be honest, as someone who really pioneered the Dubu early on in the launch days, I love using this character as an aggressive pick. I'm in their face. When I have to use the cooldowns defensively, there's only so many I have, especially versus the esoteric art of Strike Shotgun. So it's going to be up to the side of Auburn to push it past through. Really pioneered by Ramsplooge, and I want to see Viper on crit being more offensively minded and trying to move forward this game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, things are looking a little bit dire here for Auburn University, an open map here in the first 15 seconds of the round, but they are able to answer that with a good strike placement from Viper on crit. Now the Tofu Fortress, just like you said, keeping the core upfield, but now Tiger Slasher has to defend here. Not too many cooldowns to work with. The Now Mine is going to hit stun away Tiger Slasher's chances of getting any sort of defense mounting, and just like that, SLU reasserting their dominance here in this series.
Good heads up plays by Trademark. Sometimes the easiest way to score is just by using hit stun. It's a tried and true method, and Now Mine is one of the greatest to do it. And they're just able to convert all the time. Viper on crit, on the other hand, though, is going to try to work the ball up with Ramsplooge, but it's just lost. There's too much ranged pressure from the side of Trademark and Zoro. Always cutting the passes. Hits the quick Sad Boys angle, though. Brickbat, always love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Coin here has that flip. Trying to save it, though, for the goal itself instead of the barrier. And looks like he's going to get punished for that as well, as Tiger Slasher is now able to finesse the core here now and get a nice little clear going. Now Ramsplooge, a good strike or win. It's going to mean that Zoro here is on the defensive. Has the flip, though, so he's going to be playing a little safe, and he's going to be playing even more safe after that. The flip's going to be traded here from the forwards of SLU and Auburn. Good passing play back and forth. Zoro here, though, is unfortunately going to lose the barrier a little bit too close to the sun here, but he's not sweating too hard just quite yet with that flip here on the defense. Now Coin up again, trying to get some damage here, but the Now is just going to shrug it off. The flip comes out from Tiger Slasher, sends it to Ramsplooge, almost scores a goal, but Zoro has the reactions to keep it going. It's going to be defended yet again from Tiger Slasher, but this time at the cost of his life. Coin now once again trying to get that final goalie barrier. It is eventually going to go down. Ramsplooge just not in the right position, but here he's going to defend. He's going to cost him his life as well, and now an ace comes out from the SLU Strikers. The mines just keep on hitting, and now SLU again find themselves in a similar situation with Trademark scoring that final goal.
I think the biggest difference I'm seeing as I'm watching this brick pad is that the forwards on SLU just look a little bit more defensively comfortable when they're required to walk back. You saw there the total collapse when Tiger Slash was KO'd, but it feels like when Coin and Trademark are still on the map, even if Zoro has a misstep or potentially a KO forced on him, it just feels like Coin and Trademark are a little bit more practiced, well-oiled as well on knowing where to be on that defensive end. And as the saying goes, you can't lose if you don't get scored on, so it's really coming to pass as Auburn is striking back. It's not a one-sided game just yet, but it just looks like they're outgunned when they're on the back foot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think this is a situation as well where I might even be, daring to say that I feel like Tiger Splasher is putting on a very good performance, being fairly hard to score on compared to Zoro, who I feel like has, flown a bit too close to the sun in some situations, though of course not playing awfully or anything like that. And just like that, I see all three of them running forward, 2 core flips, something that we love to see from Zoro, but unfortunately that's actually going to cost him, as again, Tiger Slasher's going to defend it here, and Oh, it looks like Zoro might have DC'd there.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, hey, you take the goal. It's a goal. It's not necessarily the most well-earned goal, but hey, you take that. Hopefully Zoro's able to reconnect, though, before the match proceeds. We'll have to see. Doesn't look like it. Oh, Tiger Slasher, respect. Goes to the middle. That's based. I like that. Uses some elusive for it, but... Yep, so we're going to take 30 seconds. Zoro's trying to fix up his internet once again. Pretty goofy, but it's just we've got a bit of a break in the action. Auburn's getting, it feels like they're trying to stop a steamroller rolling over them here, and sometimes they've got some good plays on the offensive side. How do they make sure that they can keep it consistently on SLU's half to actually execute on those plays, Brickbat?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think that play where Ramfluch got the double kill, even though SLU they're winning, they're still in the lead here. It did feel like for a moment there, Zoro lost a little bit of confidence there, and we saw that because I feel like in game 1 we saw a lot of times where Zoro was just there. He was there to score the goal. One misclear from Tiger Slasher, or not even a misclear, but just him being in the right place at the right time led to a goal for the SLU strikers. But I feel like that hasn't really happened at all so far this game. There was one time where it ran forward with the flip to maybe try to get a goal, but it was immediately cleared away from Tiger Slashers. So honestly, a little bit, I feel like the way to target SLU a little bit has, come true in the sense where I feel like, that Zoro was punished. Zoro was just flat out punished for some of the over-aggression that he had given earlier in the series. And that might lead to an Auburn putting up a really significant fight, which I feel like they have been doing pretty well so far. I feel like Tiger Slasher is having an excellent performance here on the debut, and if that keeps up, maybe something can be taken out of this.
Ramsfleet has been doing a good job as well trying to match the now. He's got some excellent mind placements. It's funny because I'm a pretty confident midfielder myself, but sometimes on now, even though the character is this pretty easy kit-wise on paper, it's definitely a character that I struggle sometimes to know when I'm going to use my secondary on. And so I think he's had good mind placement that's really resulted in some offensive pressure being generated on the side of Auburn. Something that I've also noticed, though, is despite the fact that Auburn has a comp that seems more survivable on paper, the extra damage from Missile Prop has really, really been adding up. We've seen multiple stagger KOs coming out from Coin, finishing them off. And the chip damage, first of all, now does too much. I will go on and say it. Odyssey, if you're listening, this character will too much fun. But the chip damage from now, combined with the offensive utility from Zoro, despite the fact that he's losing his barriers, I'm always of the opinion that, if you're trading resource for resource, barriers, as long as you hold it down when the net's open, it's fine. And so we're seeing the side of Auburn take that extra damage, getting KO'd more. And on Atlas Lab, even though it is a bigger map, so technically you have more options to clear, passing plays are even harder to stop on Atlas Lab. So if you're someone who's getting KO'd a lot and you're in that 3v2 as a melee goalie, you really have to make some correct reads, or you need to try to cut a pass in a risky way, or else you're going to get really outmaneuvered, especially when Zoro's so offensive. So if you're on the side of Auburn, it's definitely not over. You have the ways to win, and at the end of the day, Asher does what Asher does. Let's be clear. It's just if she can actually get the ball in her hands, the number one problem that character has.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I think as well, kind of I mentioned that the Tiger Slasher was playing generally better, but I think part of that was for the reason that you mentioned. Tiger Slasher just has to defend more. There are just a lot more situations where SLU get the upper hand, and Tiger Slasher is, as a result, forced to make some pretty brave clears to keep the core in play. And I think that's definitely coming to action here. I think that's a lot of the reason why, looking at the stats from last game, Tiger Slasher was really holding it down, even matching stats with Zoro. But it looks like we've got some good news. It looks like Zoro here is back with us once again, which means we'll be getting back in the game here pretty soon. Yeah, it looks like, oh, is Trademark still gone? Trademark might still be gone. Oh, no, Trademark back. We're good. Yeah, we're all here and ready to play once again here in the CCL. As now Ramsluch going to be welcomed back with some penalty box time here. 9 seconds on that clock. Now Viper on Crate and Tiger Slasher going to be holding it down for a little while. 2 melee goalies here, though, means that there is a bit of a wall to go through here. And that being said, Tiger Slasher with an excellent flip.
Wow.
Going to complete the boys' angle here for the side of Auburn University, keeping that final goalie barrier alive. But Coin here winning a lot of interactions here on the strike board means that it's going to be hard to march this core forward. Now the barrage from the missile propulsion Aerial Sky is also just a threat on the entire map as well. So Tiger Slasher, though, and Viper on Crate able to get more possession of the core. Things might change here for Auburn, but unfortunately now a final goalie barrier immediately into the goal in overtime is going to mean that SLU would take the remainder of the set.
I have a confession. When you talked about how he died and he was in the penalty box, I realized, despite how much time I played the game, I couldn't tell you how long the respawn timer was. Is that crazy? Like, that's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I have to admit it myself. Like, I couldn't tell you what the respawn timer was, but what I can tell you is that SLU just won the game because they're now just got Monumentalist.
Yeah.
I don't mean to yap a little too hard, but I'm of the firm opinion that if you get this training on now and you are in the mirror match, my grandmother could pilot the character and still come out on top. It is just that simple to win. I think he picked up the Timeless as well. These might be like the largest primaries and secondaries I've ever seen on now coming up right now at the start of this point.
Yeah, it's just so advantage now for Trademark that, like you mentioned, it's going to be hard for Auburn to really even mount anything, as well as the chip damage that now provides has just been increased by, I believe, like 50% or something? Or 20%. And I think that's going to make a huge difference. Already, Tiger Slasher and crew were struggling to stay alive in these situations, so the extra damage is probably going to be, I believe, kind of the dams opening up and the waterfall of damage that is the SLU strikers coming to play. But oh my gosh, a third boys angle.
Oh yeah, I love that angle. It's not going to be enough to hold the barrier though, as Coin and Trademark smell blood in the water. Zoro's going to try to kick it up to them here. Going to be as successful because Trademark had an excellent pass. Another pass coming through. Not going to secure the goal. Ramsluch and Tiger Slasher did a good job on that defensive edge, something we've been talking about recently. And it's up to him to try to hold it versus this now. But Trademark able to find it. I feel like that's maybe the 4th goal where it feels like Ramsluch and Tiger Slasher are on the far and near post, and it just slides on through the middle. Those are tough goals to handle when you're the side of Auburn. Those feel bad.
Yeah, definitely agree. And as well, I think the Monumental's coming into play. The only reason, I feel like that dribble got put in the perfect position is because the now line is just simply so huge. It's an entire lane's worth of space. It goes from the wall to the black hole in the center. So that's a lot to deal with if you are a Tiger Slasher and Ramsluch on the defense. So right now, though, it's going to be looking like Viper on Crit's going to be on the tail end of a lot of this damage here. And now with a flip away from Ramsluch, things are looking a little bit dire here to the side of Auburn University here in this 2v3 situation.
I never want to count a team out, but it's looking tough for Auburn. If you're Ramsluch, you're going to have to take a big step up. You missed out on that Monumentalist. You're in the mirror match. You're going to have to really make sure that you use your abilities as efficiently as possible, trying to make sure you get it past Trademark when Tiger Slasher's clearing heroically, as he continues to do. Viper Crit's been a bit quiet on the offensive end. I feel like he's been a bit invisible, just getting outsped and out-damaged, and he's off the map again. I'm not entirely sure what this team can do. The offense is unrelenting. SLU, the undefeated kings of collegiate, are just putting on a clinic of how to choke out a team. It's not even close. These guys are just getting rolled. Have mercy.
Yeah. Yeah, SLU, losing a little bit of footing here at the beginning of the game with a nice play from Ramsluch, but it looks like they're back on top. They've brushed off the dust. They're once again sitting on their throne, and they're just going to be 1 point away now from moving on into the bracket. The absolutely massive prime time monumentalist timeless now, just covering 2/3 of the map here. Ramsluge can only look and despair now as that last goalie barrier goes down, and the chances of a comeback are slimmer and slimmer now. Coin with the flip here could potentially end it now. Viper on crit, trying to find anything, trying to move anything for the side of Auburn here, but the flip again whipped by Ramsluge is just going to be too much, and Zoro is going to catch the clear on top. SLU are back in style. Zoro finishing off the series with a Zoro type play, and that's going to be SLU defeating Auburn and moving on to the next stage.
Fly, young man, fly. One of his hallmark goals that he is always able to find out of nowhere. It just feels like he pops up almost like a rune TP. Zoro clinches the 9th goal, really putting a pin in a dominant 2-0 performance. SLU is making sure everyone's on the map, respecting that. I'm going to give a shout out, especially that game. Despite the trainings, I want to talk more about his actual play trademark. I had my eye on you, young man. I saw what you're doing. This guy cannot lose a strike war. All right, let's be clear about one thing. I was paying attention. The thing that goes unsung a lot, even though it's not necessarily the most telling of who a better player is, really if someone's feeling themselves, they're winning the strike wars. I'm always watching that because the midfielder that's winning the strike wars is getting it done. This Viper on crit and Ramsluge duo could not hold him in the left-click battles. It was a really large facilitator. Once he won that strike war, it was just over. Like, he was able to do it. Like, it was just, you can use the secondary and push the ball forward. So an excellent showing from SLU. Auburn, best of luck in the lower bracket. But for now, we will be right back, actually. CCL will be offline momentarily. Shen and Doe, our friends over there, are going to help us with production on their main stream. And the B stream, you don't want to miss that as well. We're going to have 2 going simultaneously for this bracket. We'll be live momentarily. So I'm Vaughn, and I was here with Brickbat today. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be right back, and no more technical issues, no more disconnects from players, no more Twitch servers. It's just going to be pure Omega Strikers on the stream. And I want to thank CCL for having us. Brickbat, you have any final words?
We just saw an excellent classic performance from the SLU Strikers, and I'm looking forward now to more classics coming out from the CCL, more exciting games, more teams trying to duke it out for the much renowned throne of collegiate here coming into this. So just, stay tuned for more Omega Strikers. We'll be back very, very soon.